It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Well, welcome everyone. Now what you're looking at, my friends, is a picture of a parish community at Christmas time 2022 in Barrow, Alaska. Taking all of you to Alaska today. My guest is no stranger to Alaska, Father Edward Michelini. Father Michelini is the pastor emeritus of St. Peter and Paul's Church, was a pastor there for 12 years in Towanda. You know, you have an interesting story. Every time, you're at Mass and you talk a little bit about Alaska and, what you're doing, I'm saying, what is this guy doing going to Alaska? You've been going there for 3 years. It fascinated me when you start telling me about the different things and the need for priests there. Tell me who you are.
Well, I'm Father Ed Michelini, and I was ordained a priest for the Diocese of Scranton in 2005. I was 59 at the time, and I entered the seminary in 2001. Matter of fact, Bishop Bambera was a pastor at St. John Bosco, and he was the first person that I spoke to about entering the seminary. But after entering the seminary and being ordained in 2005, I was assigned to a variety of parishes, one in Towanda, then in St. John the Evangelist in Pittston. Then I went to Williamsport, Mata della Rosa, to the Poconos, then to Dalton and Nicholson, and then I returned back to Towanda and was named the pastor there.
12 years.
It was 10 and a half years at the end, yeah.
Wow, that's an experience. Now, all of a sudden, you get involved with Alaska, all right?
Yep.
Okay, so tell me how that happened.
Well, the Diocese of Scranton has a requirement that at the age of 75, if you would like to retire, you need to submit a letter to the bishop. And I submitted a letter when I was 76. So I was now released of active ministry in the Diocese of Scranton, and I, would do whatever, a retired person would do. And I thought to myself, I said, I still have a lot of energy, and, what could I possibly consider? I considered helping in the diocese itself. I considered helping with the Christian Brothers, which I was a member of before. I also considered going to Alaska. But the reason I thought of Alaska is in 2017, I went with some friends of mine on a cruise and land package to Alaska. And we landed in Fairbanks a few days early. And there was a Saturday evening, we went to Mass at the cathedral, and there was a brochure there called the Alaskan Shepherd. And on the inside of the brochure, it mentioned that there are 37 mission non-road parishes, 9 road parishes. So there's 46 parishes, 1 school, high school, and 1 junior high. But there are only 20 priests to minister to those parishes. And when they talk about a road parish, it means you can drive to it. All of the others, the rural non-road parishes, are what they call bush parishes. So the only way you get to them is by flying or by boat. So you have to take either a commercial jet to fly into a large city like Kostabu or Barrow or Nome or Bethel, and then you take a bush plane, maybe a 4-seater or 6-seater, 10-seater, and you fly to those particular bush villages, and you minister there. So when I looked at it, I said, gee, that doesn't sound like a lot of people to minister to 46 parishes. You only have 20 priests that are doing that. How do they do it? So I thought, well, maybe they could use some help. And just before I retired, I knew I was retiring. Just before that, I contacted the vicar for priests up in the Diocese of Fairbanks, and I said, do you need any help? And he said, what are you interested in? So I explained the situation, and he said, well, why don't you come up and see what it's like? Because it's cold, it's dark, and it's isolated, and it's really rustic and rural.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Invitation.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to get there.
Yeah, but I mean, he was being realistic,
Sure
because
he
he
was.
mentioned
Yeah.
the situation that a priest had gone up there and wanted to make a retreat and be quiet in solitude. Well, he lasted 3 days because of the stress or the difficulty, the isolation that you possibly would encounter.
So you did.
Yeah,
You take him up in his invitation.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I mean, he took me up on it. So I went up. I flew up in September, right after I retired in July. I flew up in September, was there for a month, and he was nice enough to send me to a variety of places. So I was in Fairbanks itself. Then they sent me down to Healy, which is right outside of Denali National Park. And then they flew me to Galena, which is on the Yukon River. And then they flew me to Barrow, which is the northernmost city in the United States along the Arctic Ocean.
Okay, so now, when you went there, what was it like? As you're talking, we're showing pictures
Right.
of some of the places you've been at and the planes that you've been. How did you feel? I mean, going there and well, it must have been a great experience. I mean, did you like it? Evidently, you must have liked it. But what were some of the key things that you saw there when you were there?
Well, I mean, the country is vast. I mean, or I should say the country, the state is vast. And, you can fly for miles and miles and miles and never see, a city or a town on the ground, okay? But so when you go to the different places, it's the people. I mean, you're really not going for the scenery and for the fishing. You're basically going to minister to the people that are there. And when you come down to it, they may look different, speak different, but they still have the same needs. And as a priest, I'm there basically to minister to the concerns and the needs that they have from a spiritual point of view.
How did you adapt to the weather situation?
Well, like they do, you layer up when it's cold, and you wear shorts and T-shirts when it's sort of warm. But for them, I mean, when it turns like 35 degrees, all of the kids were in shorts and T-shirts walking around because they're used to maybe -5 the rest of the time. So in the northernmost place of Barrow, I was there at Christmas time where you never saw daylight. The sun never rose. There was no daylight at all. It was dark. Matter of fact, one night I remember going outside and watching the moon just circulate around the rectory and the church. It just you just went out and it was there, then it was there, then it was over there, and you just adapt. And in the summertime, you didn't get any night. It was daylight 24 hours a day. So you saw the sun go around rather than the moon. And when you tried to sleep, the basic thing you do was you put heavy coverings over the blinds or shades over the windows, and you just darken the room as much as possible.
And you were able to be accommodated the way you liked it.
Yeah.
You didn't mind those accommodations?
No. I mean, the accommodations, as far as the weather is concerned, is one thing. Yeah. The accommodations, as far as living accommodations, here you have a large living room, you have a large kitchen, your bedroom is relatively large. There, they have to be concerned about heating and about maintaining the building, so everything is much smaller. So your bedroom might be half the size of a bedroom that you'd have down in the lower 48.
Let's talk about some of your experiences, with the people and the need for, what you found when you went there and how the reception was. And, we opened up with this parish community at Christmas, which is a Barrow. Yeah. And evidently it must have been dark that day as well.
Yes.
But the experiences you found with people and how they relate to their religion and how receptive were they to you?
Well, they were very receptive to me. I mean, they were just appreciative of having a priest for Christmas or having a priest for Easter, or they knew that I came up from the lower 48 and that I was spending time there with them, because in most cases on a weekend, they don't have a priest. So if there might be one priest that has 3 parishes, but they're separated so that he's at one parish one weekend, another parish for another, and maybe the third parish for 2 weekends, and then he just keeps on rotating. So the other times they have a Eucharistic minister and they have somebody who coordinates the services. So they were very, very appreciative, very receptive, very friendly, welcoming you and that. They didn't talk a lot, but they welcomed you. And their lifestyle is basically subsistence, trying to make it through the day, make it through the year for their family and for themselves.
What are some of the things that the professions that they do? What do they do?
Well,
in the areas that you were at?
I was at a host of areas. I mean, if when you look at the map, when you look at and see Fairbanks, it's sort of like in the central section, but then Barrow is way up here. And then when you talk about Galena and Ruby, they're on the Yukon. So they would be concerned with fishing and getting logs out of the Yukon River, so that during the wintertime they would have heat. They would put the wood that they have, dry it out, cut it up, and they would have heat. Then also Kostabu, which is on the Bering Sea. Kostabu, and then also Chivak on the Bering Sea. And what happens is they'll go out seal hunting. They'll go out for quail and different types of birds because they migrate through vast portions of Alaska. So it's the people are basically subsistence living. The majority of people are hired either in the medical profession or in education. And the others would be gas station owners, but in a small town of maybe 800 people, you only have one gas station. But then there's water and sanitation, maintaining the roads. Like in the summertime in Barrow, they had the Department of Roads. What they would do is they would fill water tanks up on their trucks, water trucks, and they would sprinkle water along the dirt roads so that the four-wheelers and the cars that would be driving on them wouldn't have dirt flying all over the place. Yeah.
In terms of meeting different peoples, was there much of a transition coming from the lower 48s, the Cunningham area that you're staying in, going to Alaska, in terms of people and the way they do things, and what was there any kind of change that you saw? Oh, these people are more religious, or these people are more aware of what's going on. Did you see any major changes as a priest? I'm talking about.
Okay, I would say no, but you're going to a totally different area of the country. I mean, just the environment that's there is totally different. The cities, or the towns, I should say, or the villages really, are so separated from each other that it isn't like I need something, or I missed the mass down at St. John Bosco. I'll drive out to Berwick, or I'll just go into town to Hazleton. I mean, if they missed the mass, they missed the mass because there was only one during the weekend.
How were attendances?
Attendance was decent, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Folks, I'm talking to Father Edward Michelini, retired priest, was pastor emeritus of St. Peter's and Paul in Towanda for a number of years. I found it quite interesting, and as we're talking, you see a lot of interesting pictures. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about Alaska. Stay with us. Well, welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. And once again, thank you for making the Sam Lesante Show the #1 talk show in northeastern Pennsylvania. I appreciate that very much. Now, anytime you want to get in contact with me, I'll give you two listings. Number one, our email, sam@ssptv.com, on the screen, and call me, 570-455-7267, and that's 455-SAMS, when any questions or comments you may have. We're taking to Alaska today. Good friend of mine, excellent priest. I enjoy his homilies, and he's a good priest, Father Edward Michelini. I want to thank you for coming on the show. And
No problem. Happy to do it.
And want to thank you for bringing the Word of God to Alaska. You could be retired and just going golfing and doing nothing, but you decided to help people, and I admire you for that. I really do.
Thanks.
Okay. Speaking of Alaska, let's get back to the way of living they have there versus the way we see here. Because, you know, you're isolated in some areas, and that doesn't bother you, does it, being isolated?
No, but at the same time, I've never been there for a full year.
But you've been there about a good month or 2 months, right?
Oh yes, yeah. A month, 2 months, 4 months, yeah.
Well, give me a day in the life of Father Michelini in Alaska. A typical day of what you do and what you see.
Well, I'll talk, let's say, about Nome. I was there this past December for Christmas, and then I returned for Easter of this past year. So you'd get up in the morning, I'd say my prayers, the breviary, then you'd have a mass at about 12 o'clock. Either before that or after that, I would schedule a time to go over to the hospital, and they had a senior residence there, and I would visit with some of the parishioners there or people that were in residence there. Come back to the rectory. Sometimes there would be a funeral that you'd need to do, or I was preparing 2 families for their upcoming wedding. One, matter of fact, is this weekend. You get the information that's needed by the diocese. If there's a different setting for where the marriage is going to be other than that particular parish, you've got to do the additional paperwork for that. And then make dinner. And then I usually go to bed early.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, you brought something here, my friends. This is interesting. I thought it was a mustache, but it's not a mustache. Tell me what this is.
Okay. This is a piece of baleen cut in the shape of a whale's tail. And this was made by Dilbert, a retired gentleman in Ukqiavik or Barrow, Alaska. The baleen is taken from the filtering system of the whale. What they do is they clean it, and then they sand it and polish it down so it's a nice black color or changes of gray. And he cut this one in the form of a whale tail and attached it to some whale bone, and would sell it in the gift shop that they had there. And it was something that supplemented his income, and it was a common occurrence.
You have a number of pictures here, and I'm showing you some pictures here. This is a picture of Alaska-made basket.
Yes.
Who is this?
This is made by Alice in, I can't pronounce her last name. It's an Indian name, but excuse me, not Indian, Eskimo name. And but she made these baskets, and she sells them. She's retired right now.
She gave you a basket?
No, she didn't give me a basket, but that's some of the baskets that she has. She comes from Mountain Village.
Some of these other pictures you have here, as we're showing them, what are we looking at? There's different boats and different. You took a plane. How often did you have to take the plane to go to the bush?
Well, anytime you went to the bush, you needed to take a plane.
And how often would you go to the bush?
pretty much every time I went there.
No kidding. Yeah.
Other than the one summer, all
Were
of
these
the other.
round trips, or do you go there and stay and then they come back?
No,
and-
you go there and stay for a month, or you stay there
Oh,
for 2
okay,
weeks,
okay.
and then you go in. And in one case, like I flew from Bethel to St. Mary's, and then I took a four-wheeler to Mountain Village, which was about 25 miles away, and then you came back again to St. Mary's, and then you took the plane back to Bethel, and then you get on a commercial jet.
You like Alaska, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, it's. I think one of the things is, growing up as a kid, I lived in New York City, and Mom used to take my brother and I to New Jersey pretty much every weekend to visit my relatives on my dad's side, and then she'd take us to Pennsylvania, in the summer and at Christmas. And during the summertime, she'd also send us to camp, because she didn't want us staying in New York while she was at work and we were alone during the day. So I think that was an adventurous spirit. So I'm interested in going different places and seeing different things, but helping where I can.
I know they have a lot of Alaska cruises.
Yes.
Okay, and do you highly recommend those cruises to Alaska? And what kind of cruise would you recommend people to go on?
Well, I think for
First time.
an initial, introduction to Alaska, any of the cruises that they have to see both sections, because you can take the cruise along the coast, but you never get inland to Denali or to Fairbanks. But if you did a land cruise package, you'd see the diversity and the different things. Because in Fairbanks, a whole host of things. I mean, you can go to Shenna Springs, where hot springs are. Right outside of Fairbanks, you can see the pipeline that goes from Prudhomme Bay down to Valdez. They've got a whole host of things inside Fairbanks itself, museums, art galleries, ice sculptures, breweries, distilleries, fairgrounds. You can even go to a baseball game at midnight, and you can even go golfing.
Is there a large Catholic congregation in the areas you're going?
Yes. Along the coast, it depended upon the missionaries where they stopped. There's a number of Catholic communities. There's also Episcopalian, Lutheran, Church of Christ, a whole variety, depending on what missionaries went and what villages they stopped at. Yeah.
In the areas you were, Father, did you find the people religious people?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have their faith, and
Yes.
it's a shame that they can't have a mass like every weekend like we are used to, and don't take advantage of it sometimes. How do you find their attitude towards living the way they live and their daily, sometimes we are in a rush of doing things.
Right.
I don't see them being really in a hurry to do a lot of things.
Well, I mean, it's the energy you expend by hustling and bustling around. I mean, in the cold weather, you've got to conserve that energy because some of the difficulties that you have just with the terrain and going from one place to another. But they do what needs to be done. They work at different things, and they've got a task or a job. They try to fulfill that. I mean, it's a dangerous living because you can be riding a snow machine, okay, which would be a snowmobile. They call it snow machines. And the ice is thin. You didn't realize it, and you go in. Yeah. So a lot of young people die because of accidents that occur.
In closing, what do you have to tell our audience about your experiences in Alaska?
Well, I think that to visit there is nice. To stay there, you get a great, a better understanding of what they go through. I listed a number of books that I've read since I went to Alaska or while I was in Alaska, and it gives you a good, well-rounded view or perspective of what life is like.
And not only does he go to Alaska, but he also is a chaplain on cruises as well. That's a whole nother ball game. You told me you've been to how many countries? I mean, tons of countries, haven't you been?
Quite a few. I mean, one of the things is I still have one state in the United States to visit, that's Montana. And at the end of this year, I think I'll have hit all of the continents.
Yeah.
So I'm happy about that.
I think there's one person who beat you, and that's our good friend Stephen Bross, Father Bross.
Yes,
I
that's
mean,
right.
he travels all over
Yeah.
the place.
Yeah.
Here again, a great priest, okay? Congratulations what
Thanks.
you do, and keep up the good work,
Okay.
Father.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Father Edward Michelini, my friends, we're honored at St. John Bosco when he comes and does Mass. Father Rick, come on and sign him a couple more times. We'll see you next time.